Alright, today we're going to start clearancing this block out. So here we have all of our pieces, the internals laid out here. Everything's marked so we know what it all is. And our block. We cleaned it up a little bit yesterday. We need to clear out our oil galleys. So down in here, get all this cleaned up. We will clearance these to get good oil back to the front of the block. Here's this other side. Got that slag taken up off of there. We're going to flip this over, put the crankshaft back in it, so you can see how we mark it to know where our rotating assembly is going to be. This is not the rod setup we're going to have. We're going to have rods that are built more four-stroker, but they're not in right now. So we will be installing these rods and clearancing this block with them just to get us a good base, because I have the time to now and I may not later with the other rods. So just make use of the time that I have and get this thing clearanced out. Alright, so now you can see in white every place this block someone had started to relieve it. The tolerances we had inside of there, those are for the rod caps, were extremely tight. I got a feeler gauge out and went through, and there was only 10 thousandths clearance between all of them. Some people say go to 100, some will say 60. That's really kind of a preference thing on kind of what you're running. But I marked those spots because I'd seen that they had work done on them before. They all need to be relieved more than that. We're going to start putting a rod on this motor. Now we're going to take the piston rings off of one of these pistons, slide it in, clean up our journals, and start going through and marking it for clearance on the end of those rods. Alright guys, here's an update. So, as you can see, we have got this block decently clearanced now. Now this clearance is not for my finished set of rods. Looking at this, I think I'm going to go ahead and have this block taken 40 over. It's supposed to be a 30 over now. There's a couple pretty good sized scratches, sorry about that, deep in a few of these cylinders. So I think that's what we're going to do. And this is one of those things, you may have to go back through here 3 or 4 different times in order to get this clearancing right, to make sure nothing slams into itself once it gets hot. Because one of these motors hot and one of these motors cold are completely different clearances. So let me spin this motor over real quick. So in addition to clearancing for the rods, some of the other key points you want to, if you already are grinding on this thing, to be sure to do is this back hole for the drain, for the oil to get back. These, especially the one over here by your distributor, this one right here generally is 2/3 plugged off, and that's exactly the way this one right here was. So I grind it down to where I'm decently close to that cylinder. This side over here, make it just as large as it'll go. There you can see a huge hole, just letting all that oil return back down. And then I go ahead and I take the edge off of these drain holes, and then in the front I take, because there's a big lip here, so all of this has to be completely full of oil before the oil ever drains back down to the motor or to the oil pan, or it has to come over here and fall through one of these holes that the castings generally. This one's normally decently open. This one's pretty well always 2/3 closed. So everything has to fill up to where it goes over these lips and then drains back down, or through these other drain holes. So if you open up the clearances on that, it makes a large difference. And then take and let's see if this will focus in here. And I make this a teardrop coming down on both sides. The easier it is for that oil to get back down, the more oil you're going to have available to you, especially if you're spinning any kind of RPM. And then this right here, I clearance off this for the timing chain. They normally will hit this if it's a double roller. So that is the clearancing and just kind of cleaning up on the block so far. So we're going to wash this up again. This is the 3rd time I've had this thing fully soap watered and back to being protected with WD-40 over the whole thing. You're going to clean one of these blocks a ton of times while you're doing this just to get it all right. So that's just another update. I don't know if you can see just how dirty it gets when you're doing this, but I think that's going to pretty well do it for this one right here. Hopefully the next video will be up here in a week or two, whenever we decide. I might stay 30 over and just have it honed to clean it up a little bit better. I'm not sure yet. But the next video will be unboxing a set of rods and pistons to get into this, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Thank you guys very much for watching. Remember to subscribe if you like it. Yeah, that's kind of how it's going for today.